Miklos, thanks very much for your nice introduction. First of all, I have to thank the UkrGeo initiative for inviting me to this event. It's a great pleasure for me to be here for this first GeoDigital Ukra in 2019. I'm very impressed. The good thing is, at the end of this block, where you had a lot of technology, a lot of things already mentioned, so I have made up my mind to restructure a little bit my presentation, because technology was already a lot on the list. I will not go too much into details. I would like to focus really on, let's say, a little bit the strategy. What is Hexagon? What does it mean in terms of Leica? Everybody knows Leica. We have other brands involved, so maybe some clarification on that one before we go too much into details. Anyway, I will also mention some technology, but since time is ticking, it's very difficult sometimes to make everybody happy. There's people, they would like to be on time, so cutting a presentation is something which they like. Others would like to see more details, and having the opportunity to be here, maybe they would like to learn much more from the product line. So I hope I'm going to find a good balance, let's say. What about Hexagon? Well, if you would not have heard about Hexagon, Hexagon is something, a company from Sweden starting and investing into a metrology business many years ago, and then expanding also into this geospatial industry. Today, Hexagon has two big different divisions. We call it enterprise, industrial enterprise solutions, which is in the nano and micro industry on measurement technologies, plant design, machinery, whatever. And then we have this kind of geospatial division. It's about 50-50 in terms of revenues, and that is what we call the Hexagon Geosystems environment, among others. And the main brand within Hexagon Geosystems is definitely Leica. So if you know Leica from the history, it's still there. It's brands. It's the most famous part of this kind of Hexagon division. But you will see in the shows in future that Hexagon is getting more and more important also in terms of a company brand, let's say. That is something, just to give you a bit of background. Hexagon today has about 20,000 employees, so it's huge. And as I said, the geospatial part is probably 50% of that. Well, you see digital solutions. Digital is everywhere. Digital is Ukraine. Digital is the worldwide, the globalization. So what can we add on this kind of tendency in terms of digitalization? Our solutions, and even my colleague Alexander from Timmel mentioned that already before, our solutions already digital. We have gone the digital line since many years. First digital camera, large format camera, since 2000, roughly 2000, 2002, so almost 20 years now. So what can we add to the tendency right now? First of all, I think we are in the driver position. Actually, our industry is in the driver position. Many people don't understand that. The older ones, Miklos, you remember, 25 years ago, mid of the 90s, in the last century, photogrammetry was almost death. People were thinking about you can do everything terrestrial. Today, we are more back than ever, because we are very high productive. The productivity in terms of generating actual current data, high accurate, good quality data, the productivity is very high to very fast produce a kind of digital world which is required actually to actually satisfy our needs in infrastructure and so on. So I think we can add a lot because we are in the driver's seat. We have to recognize our problem is in our industry we are technically driven, we are no marketing guys, we have to learn on that side to be better positioned in the whole IT mainstream, more or less. But believe me or not, we are in the driver position. Now, I will skip more or less talking about history. As I mentioned already, Hexagon based on Leica, Leica based on Wild and Kern, even Zeiss merged later on through the Intergraph environment in 2010. So on different divisions, like on the Airborne side, which I'm representing over here, we have the most important players on the Airborne side coming together more or less 10 years ago. Hexagon's positioning, or Hexagon Geosystems positioning today, is 3 columns to meet this kind of tendency of digitalization. You see in the middle of this slide, it's the application-specific individual instruments, solutions we have today. And complementary to that, what Alexander was talking about on the Trimble side is also available on the Hexagon Leica side. There's a bunch of applications for different terrestrial applications, scanning, distance measurement, total stations, laser scanning, machine control tools available. I think there's really no time to go too much into details, but that is where we are. Now, where we want to go to, you will see, and before I do that, I think I have one other slide just to give you an idea about this bunch of applications. As I said, not going too much details, you will probably find your application you are dealing with any kind of Leica equipment. But the next step is really transitioning this. It's not only the piece of distance measurement, it's a kind of solutions we need, specifically also adding the software which allows you to process the data in a way which is needed today in order to follow immediately your application and demands. So in terms of technology, piece by piece, it is the terrestrial stuff, it is the airborne solutions you see over here, the big 4 blocks we offer in the market, which is the imaging side, large format cameras, medium format cameras, oblique cameras, and I will also get back to a very specific latest and greatest technology like the city mapper and introduce that after that slide. You see the LiDAR technology. A lot of things have been mentioned already about LiDAR, and also something which I will mention afterwards, because we introduced the new terrain mapper first time over here in Ukraine since a couple of weeks, and it's going to be operational very soon. And then we have the mobile mapping environment as well as the UAV environment if we talk airborne solutions.
This is Emma. Together with her family, she is one of 3 million people moving to the city each week. In fact, for the first time in history, more than half of us are living in metropolitan areas, challenging us to rethink and redesign urban spaces into smart cities. For us, the success of building and managing a smart city starts with the ability to rapidly capture and visualize this highly complex and dynamic environment. This is why we introduce Leica Real City, combining specifically designed sensors with dedicated workflows to map and visualize even the largest cities. And this is why we introduce the Leica City Mapper, bringing together our combined imaging and LiDAR expertise. The Leica City Mapper is the world's first airborne sensor specifically developed for urban reality capture. Never before could more data and information be captured from one sensor in a single flight, saving you time and money. Together with the Leica HexMap, our proven production workflow, simultaneously acquired imagery and LiDAR data can easily be combined to generate the most comprehensive geospatial information source, the smart base. Of course, the smart base alone does not make a city smart. For that, it needs you. But with Leica Real City, you will get unprecedented perspectives and insights into urban life real fast. And that will make you smart. Leica Real City. Be smart.
Well, you see, this city mapper is one of these examples where I think on one hand we need extraordinary leading edge technology. On the other hand, we have to be part of the whole social environment to meet really the needs we have in the infrastructure environment. It's a good example because first time ever we combined LiDAR technology and imagery technology in one instrument. You see over here how it works. You have the 4 oblique cameras working with one Nadir camera. At the same time, you have that stripe of LiDAR information, which you then can combine to generate a couple of products out of that, like DSM, DTM, orthophotos, 3D city models, intelligent 3D city models, topologically structured 3D city models, or mesh models, in order to just provide information for the political decision makers in an infrastructural environment. And then the second technology I would like to just mention is the terrain mapper. That is what we recently announced last year and now delivering to the world. It is now the leading edge technology on the existing linear LiDAR technology with highest productivity on a 2 megahertz system. It's a rotating LiDAR. It is a gateless instrument with about 30 gates. So you have an unbelievable range of applications. And when we mentioned already earlier, mountainous areas, with this leading edge technology, you can cover all applications from countrywide DSM to corridor mapping. And I congratulate the guys from State Geocadastre over here and the subdivisions actually operating the systems in future over here in Ukraine. We're looking forward to see the first results. Just to give you a few examples, I think I can skip that more or less because we have seen already so many 3D results. It looks all, the images all look good more or less. At the end of the day, it's all about how you utilize this kind of data. And the interesting thing is with this kind of instrument, I call it also you generate a multi-sensor result. It is not only the point clouds you have, which you can visualize and analyze in different ways. You have the intensity model on the LiDAR. You can add the RGB. The TerraMapper comes with an RGB and near-infrared medium format camera. And if you add the near-infrared on top, you see you have a multi-purpose output result. Good for different applications depending on your needs. Now, in terms of the entire airborne strategy, you see we are clearly following a common strategy in terms of aircraft infrastructure platform and also the office infrastructure platform. All kind of sensors you see operate with the same operational environment in the aircraft, same flight management, same mount, and at the same time the processing environment, which we call HexMap today, is the same user interface for processing all kind of data coming from these different sensors. Now, switching a bit from this airborne terrestrial airborne technology, just one example, and you know what, you have seen Pegasus results already before from our mobile mapping system. There's something impressive you see right now. There's no sound behind that because the Pegasus today allows us again to already combine different sources of information. You see the 3D point cloud walking through the street, capturing information from LiDAR as well as imageries, but at the same time you can add also a geo-penetrating LiDAR system in your bag, which penetrates the soil up to 4, 5, 6 meters, depending on the consistency of the underground, and you can actually generate a documentation of what is existing in terms of pipelines, cables, whatever. For sure, it depends on the quality, but we have so many areas in the world where cities have been built and no documentation is available. If you now want to start changing something and update your infrastructure, you need to know where is which cable and where is which pipeline. You see, it's a synergy of different technologies at the same time. Now, if we go back to this kind of picture, you see what is the vision for the future. You see the tendency is clearly more to this kind of industry-specific solutions. And you have seen that from the slides and the movies already before. The combination of technology on a high quality or let's say on an adjacent quality and accuracy level is what is important. And if we talk smart cities, for instance, you will see from this kind of video this combination again from different data sources, data captured by the city mapper, and then you see combined with different planning environments, with different planning status, with options where you can talk to the decision makers and give them exactly the tools they need to make a decision, whether it is the planning itself or whether it is applications like this kind of solar shadow environments. It has been mentioned already in former presentations, or whether it's just points of interest, which we know already from Google Maps and other applications, but we add much more engineering information on top. You see over here, it is the surface, it's not only point of interest, it's the applications, it is the utilization, what kind of building is it, or it is even additional applications like flooding, that was also been mentioned. It's not only Norway, it's all other countries today where we have this kind of more crisis management tools, and flooding is a big topic due to this global warming and global changes we have in the world. So we need all these tools combined in order to make the right analysis at the right time, making the right decisions or preparing the right decisions for the political level. Here again you see the combination also with underground information. If you have metro or whatever, metro stations, the metro pipelines, whatever, you can all visualize that together once information combined, collected. Well, I'm more or less coming already to the end, but I don't want to miss to mention one topic on top, and that makes us a little bit different from other, let's say, technology vendors. I just would like to introduce a little bit the Hexagon content program. Hexagon has been asked many years ago by global consumers whether we are able to provide worldwide data. Actually, we rejected in the beginning for simple reasons, because we don't want to be, let's say, a competitor to our own customers. But since the pressure is very high on globalized providing of information, whether you see that from Google Maps, you have seen that from Microsoft Bing before, Yahoo, all these kind of big consumers would like to present global data. And you know, they have seen it's a niche, you need expertise, and you don't need just consumer data. They step more and more into higher resolution, more accuracy, so they want somebody to coordinate. We have then started to talk to our customers whether they're willing to cooperate with us. The program has started in the US, where we capture US-wide imagery data with a 30-centimeter resolution. We have a clear plan of specification. You have to have that because you need to follow the requirements from the end users. If you mix everything, it will not work. So it's designed to work with our cameras. Customers who work with our cameras, they have to follow a QA/QC process in order to deliver the data. And you see the columns in the middle. There's different products available and planned for the future. There is a 30-centimeter GSD globally in North America and most of Western Central Europe available already today. There is a 15 centimeters, so double resolution coming, and in specific urban areas already existing. And we have plans to go higher resolution, as well as to add other information to the content, like the 3D world. And by the way, talking 3D, you know, I think in every country talking about of geospatial strategy, it's not only talking about latest and greatest, it's talking about both the basics and the latest and greatest. We still have a lot of countries where I believe we need to currently update the information. So an orthophoto 30 centimeters is not actually available from the last, let's say, 12 to 24 months. So every country, more or less, I think, has to look for the basics, the orthophoto, the DSM, and then maybe you can start particularly in urban areas, and there where you have the need to densify in terms of more 3D information, adding value to what is required in these dense areas. You know, and then next is really plans to go that 3D world, but we are not at that point. Just to give you an idea, data are somehow available by a streaming mode. You have different ways you can download data. There's a website available. If you go on the Hexagon website, you can find a website to just view whether data are available or not. We are working with software vendors. We are even working with ESRI, with our colleagues from Hexagon Geospatial, to provide data within their solutions. So if somebody tries to purchase a solution for a kind of city service environment, he can somehow also add data where it is available. Unfortunately, and you see the map from Europe over here, all the green parts are covered. Different greens means different actuality, more or less. You see, unfortunately, we are not really completely going into the Eastern world. It's step by step adding now. So we are going more and more east. We are talking to Belarus. We will continue to talk also maybe once in a while, if there is a right point in time, to Ukraine and other states. But you have to know there is a lot of hurdles as well, because we are talking data rights, we are talking data properties, intellectual properties, and every country is different. So you see, for instance, even OSGB in UK is a different story than France or Germany or Spain or other countries. So it's a step-by-step approach, but since we have been asked, I think we will follow that line in the future. Well, I'm more or less done. At the end, I think it is important to understand and to believe and trust that we are in the driver's seat, as I mentioned in the beginning, in our industry. We should actually make everybody aware in the country, every other government organizations who are in need for geospatial data, that we in our industry have the competence to provide that, to serve them. It's not about data itself. We have talked big data like hell. We are producing data like the hell. I think the future will be in these three terms. It's not only digital, it means also reality, what is really required in reality, and that will lead us to what today is called smart solutions. So select and filter out of this big data environment what is really needed for the specific applications in different industries. And with this statement of our CEO, which I think is pretty true, in our vendors world today, we are not providing technical solutions anymore. We have to make sure that our solutions help you to follow the purpose of our game, which is requirements from the end user. Thank you very much. If any questions, I think we have a discussion anyway. Thank you.